Afternoon everybody, Rich here, back again for another video for the Diecast F1 review. Here today is the Ferrari F300 for the 1998 Formula 1 World Championship, and in the car is Eddie Irvine. And the F300 started the 98 season as not quite the second best car of the field. It's sort of, although it qualified third for the first round, and then ultimately blew up after 5 laps, it was sort of outpaced by Williams at the early point at the first race anyway. By round 2 though, the car was getting sorted, and by round 3 it was a race winner. Of course, 6 wins throughout the season for Schumacher, including a hat-trick at the Canadian, French and British Grand Prix, although the British Grand Prix one is a bit controversial. Yes, it's one of those races where I think Ferrari got a bit political and got involved there a bit too much. Well, there you go, that's enough rambling about that. But 6 wins, that hat-trick. First win coming at the Argentine Grand Prix, where they pretty good fight with the McLarens in the early stages of the race, and the McLarens pretty much dropped off, well, not dropped out, but sort of dropped off the pace throughout the race. And second place at the San Marino Grand Prix. No points for Schumacher in Monaco after he had a bit of a battle with Alex Wurtz's Benetton. But he ultimately got back together though, and was a championship contender pretty much up till halfway point through the Japanese Grand Prix that year. Although saying that, I don't think Schumacher really was in the championship fight at that point. I think McLaren had just pulled something out the bag, and the car was just superior to what Ferrari could produce. And Schumacher ultimately retired with a puncher about halfway through the race, handing the championship to Hakkinen. But yeah, 6 wins, which isn't bad. One better than their 97 season. I think 98 was sort of a better year for Ferrari overall, as Williams and Benetton had dropped back, and give Ferrari a bit more running space to challenge McLaren. As well as 8 podiums that year for Eddie Irvine as well, establishing himself as a driver who was no longer a loose cannon and a bit more of a steady Eddie, as they started to call him at that time. Bringing the car home and pretty much giving Ferrari a bit more of a chance of fighting for the Constructors' Championship, which he ultimately lost that year, but his contribution paid dividend the next year. But yeah, the car, of course, the first of the narrow-tracked, groove-tired era of Formula 1, narrow track which we've still got today, by the way, as of 2015, was a change. And in 98 the car did look amazing there. The car sort of tapered off around 2004, 2005 with the ridiculous amount of aerodynamic parts, but by 98 the cars were still pretty basic and did look good. Just the tyres, that's what looked a bit weird. I think that's pretty much all I can say about the car at the moment. Yeah, it was pretty successful in its time and continued to be the test bed basically, and able to build on for the 99 season with the F399. Which I'll review later on as well. I'm sort of doing the models in order with Ferrari, sort of going from 95 upwards. Although I have done the 03 car already. But on to the model itself. Of course, this is a Minichamps model, and it's the last ever Minichamps model for Ferrari. The last Ferrari made by Minichamps, I should say. Ultimately, from 99, Mattel got the rights and pretty much ruined it. But never mind. But yeah, it's the first. The last rather Minichamps model for Ferrari, and it's one of the better ones as well. It's very solid. It's very heavy as well. So you got some. It's quite chunky at the back here. Holding onto the diffuser, there's quite a bit of meat to grab onto there. And I do apologise for the light again, as it is November. It is rain, or it's not raining, but it's dark and dingy, and the light isn't very good. So I'm using the ceiling light once again. But ultimately a very nice model. The paint scheme is stunning. The paint application, all the parts of the cars are pretty held on solidly. The wing mirrors are solid, the barge boards are pretty solid, the front wing is solid as well. It's a solid car by a solid maker basically, and the tyres are pretty solid as well. They're very hard rubber. Something I noticed with these groove tired cars, at least in the early years, the tyres were very hard and very tough, and they weren't going to come off. I suppose if you want to change the tyres to wet tyres, you're going to have a real struggle getting them off without destroying the rims. So I do a quick zoom around the car. So you've got from the front view here, it doesn't look very narrow track to me. I suppose if you compare it to a 98 car, or to a 97 car, you will see the difference in width. It's not really noticeable at the moment. I think Minichamps might not have quite got the dimensions right, but ultimately not a bad first try. So do a quick zoom around the car so we get a bit closer. We start at the front wing. We've got the front wing detail here. A simple 3-plane front wing, something we should no longer see in Formula 1. If this was today, I have about 300 planes on the front wing, and will ruin the appearance of the car. Also, of course, we've got the high nose, we've got the barcode on the top of the chassis. Got the inside of the front wheel there. Just look at this one here. See all the detail there. Chrome rims as well, no longer gold. And the suspension looking quite, a little bit basic there. So there's a little nub there. Not sure what that's all about, but I think that's probably the way it's designed. Got 2 flaps on the inside of the suspension. I'm not sure what they're all about, but they're probably aerodynamic aids, obviously. We've got the barge boards here. The barge boards are pretty well solid as well. They're not going to fall off just by looking at them like on some of the earlier cars. We've got the cockpit around here. The wing mirrors are very nicely held on. Got a wibbly aerial there. Of course, we've got the first year of the T-cam as well, the ridiculously shaped T-cam, which is still on today. And we go over to the rear wing and rear wheels, and overall not a bad car. So just do a quick look in the cockpit as well. I do apologise for the colour of the car as well. It's not really picking up very well on camera, or at least on the viewfinder. It should be bright red, but it's sort of showing pink at the moment. We'll have a quick look at the steering wheel in there. Oh no, blurry. Zoom back in. So there's the steering wheel. Can't really see too much detail in the cockpit because it is quite cramped in there. Ultimately not too bad. Let me turn the car around again and have a look at Eddie's overalls. So we've got the helmet there. Zoom out a bit. So we've got the overalls there. All the sponsored decals on there. Of course, we've got Eddie's signature Ferrari badge on the top of his helmet. Then we zoom. We'll look at the side here. We've got the Marlboro barcode there, or this Fiat on the side there, and the rear wing all in red. And look at the rear wheels. So the really sharp edges on these Goodyear tyres are really well moulded on these Goodyear, well I say slicks, they're not slicks are they, they're grooved rubber. And you've got the front wheel there. I'll just zoom out again. Now of course this being the Eddie Irvine version, it's the cheaper version. The Schumacher version tends to go for a bit more, and also comes in a different box as well. So if we look underneath, I'm trying not to break anything when I'm here. But we've got the F300 there, we've got the diffuser, of course the Minichamps badge up there, and we move forward to the underside of the nose with the keel, and where the front wing is bolted onto the, oh sorry, bolted on, but sort of, there's other pegs or rivets, but they're held on there. So that's the underside of the car, and we'll drop down again. It does look pink on this one, on the viewfinder. I think it's just the light above that makes it look a bit iffy. But a quick look in the back here, and definitely based on the early season version, because from the San Marino Grand Prix, which I think was round 4, the exhausts were open at the rear here, so there's big panels of black carbon fibre with the exhaust pipes coming out the top here, and it sort of paved the way for what came along later on. So by 2000 I think all the teams had the exhaust sticking out the top. Because this version of the car does not, as it's based on a much earlier version, which is a shame really, because I really like the exhaust sticking out the top of that time, because it was something new. No other team was doing it. So I'll drop that there. On to the variants of this car. Of course there's only really 2 variants available, of course the Schumacher and Irvine versions. Well, there is a test version as well, an early season test version, which is basically this car painted all black. I'm not sure if that's an official release or it's just something somebody's made, but there are quite a lot of them about, so maybe it is a proper released model. I have to look into that one, although I probably won't get hold of one because they're so bloody expensive. So they're really the only variants, just this one, of course the Schumacher version, and the test version. Although I have seen some versions with the tower wings as well, so at the San Marino Grand Prix as well as the rear bodywork here, there's someone had added the tower wings to the model, although the real car had them as well. There were tower wings, which is sort of wings that sort of sat up here on well, towers basically. It looked weird and not a lot of people liked it. I liked it, to be honest. It was different, you know. I didn't like it at every race, like say Tyrrell had, or Tyrrell and Prost had them, I think, at every race up to that point. And it did look ridiculous at some points, but when some cars introduced them sort of one-off races, it did look pretty cool. You look back at it now, though, it does look bloody ridiculous. But model-wise, I don't think that was ever released. I know I've seen some with this car with the tail wings added, but I think that was someone added them out as an aftermarket sort of thing. So I'm not really sure on the availability of that one. Pardon me. So yeah, I'm not really sure on that one. But I think as well, I don't think when they did do the towings, they added the exhaust pipes on the back as well. The exhaust pipes would be something a bit more difficult because you probably have to drill holes or do a lot of sculpting work around the rear bodywork. So I think all they'd done was just added the tail wings. So it's sort of a half-assed update, really. Yeah, not really much else to say about this one. This car was never released either as a 99 show car. Of course, Mattel had the rights by then. So this car was pretty much, all this mould was retired after the 98 season. Although there may be something abroad in other markets that this car may have been used for something else, I don't know. But yeah, this is probably the end of an era for Mattel, Minichamps collectors, as Mattel took the rights on. And the 99 car was not a scratch on this thing. It was, I'll say, not bloody terrible, but it was pretty bad. It's not something you're going to want to pay a lot of money for. It's cheap. Or it feels cheap anyway. Parts are loose. Sculpting is not all there, but I will review it later on because I'm sort of going through the order of Ferrari. So I've got the 95 car onwards, although I have just recently purchased the 93 car as well, so I'll have to go back and do that one. So we will see. But anyway, that's my review of the F300, and if you're interested in any more reviews, just ask me if you want a specific car done. But yeah, I think this was a requested one as well, but I can't remember who requested it, but I will try and put their name in the description or give them a credit for it. But anyway, this is Rich signing off, logging off, disappearing, and I shall return with another review. So bye for now.